Hi everybody, hope you're having a fantastic day. As promised, I'll tell you a bit about what's happened with the Range Rover last night and the nightmare fuel that is tomorrow's problem. Well, if I can be bothered to do it. So last night I was driving back and she lost all of her power. I was pretty sure I knew what it was. I did make a post on the P38 club just to brainstorm some ideas, but I was pretty sure I knew what it was. So if you get the symptoms, and these are pretty common symptoms, it's a broad spectrum diagnosis, I think is what they call it nowadays. But if you're driving up a bank and she's got no power, you have to thrash it. You're putting your foot right down to the floor and it's barely revving and she's barely getting up the bank. And then when you get past your bank and you get onto a level field, it takes a long time for it to accelerate, but gradually it'll get up to normal speed. And then when you have to slow down, it takes ages to climb back up again. So one of the other symptoms with this particular issue is you can reach your level ground and it will change from first to second, laboured, taking time, and then it'll all of a sudden change third, fourth, and then you're in top gear, and it's just struggles to get along, but eventually you'll get back up to 60, 70 mile an hour, however fast you want to go, 200 miles an hour, they are capable. I'll be honest, I've been in a bit of a rush today. I've got a few jobs on. Mine was this map sensor. As soon as I came in, I ran in to the shed. I got a fair few P38s on the shelf, broke a few of them over the years. So I plugged my map sensor in, instantly fixed her. There's a few other things that can cause these symptoms. One of them being this vacuum line. It can become frayed at the bottom. It plugs in to your intake on the alley one or the plastic one. It'll plumb back to there. That can cause it. A spill pipe or an overflow pipe, whichever one people want to call it. If these bust, they can also make it like it. That includes the overflow that goes to the fuel pump. If they split and fray, and then they start leaking diesel all over the place. But there is a telltale sign to that, because your front diff will be covered in oil, in diesel, sorry, and you'll have a big puddle of diesel wherever you go. And then I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but there's this piece of brake line here that doesn't connect to anything. When I bought her originally, the rear bung had blown off the injector. To anybody that doesn't know, the 6th injector has got an overflow pipe and then a bung. The previous owner fitted this copper pipe, it goes right back to the fuel tank, and then this goes onto the 6th injector and pushes, it's quite a good idea really. To save you having to fabric cobble a bung together or find one, plumb that back in, it works fine, The operating procedure is just as it should be. The other thing that it can be is a big job, really. I will post a video on it. It can be a big job if you want to do it the appropriate way, but there is a cheat that is like a 5-minute job and it's not that scary. That's the in-tank fuel pump. Now the way to test it is disconnect your fuel pump line. You want to get a bottle or a glass and measure 180 ml, crank it for 10 seconds, turn the crank off, apply your handbrake, close the door, walk over, and it should have pumped out at least 180 ml or more within 10 seconds. If it doesn't, then you've got a weak in-tank fuel pump, which can cause similar problems. That's the easiest way that I've found to diagnose them. You can't, without having to have specialist fuel pressure testing tools or whatever, anybody can do that on the driveway. And really, that's what I want to help. And if anybody's got any tips along their journeys of owning any of these cars, knowledge is power, share it. And then it's not for financial gain to anybody, it's to keep these kind of things on the road, and ultimately, in these hard times that we all live in, help people out of a bind. So that is one of the tips to checking your in-tank fuel pump, 180 ml. In terms of doing it, I have done them, but this one hasn't needed it swapping. So you can cut a hole. I will do a video on it next time that one goes, probably will be this one. As P38's got to this kind of age, they are needing it more and more. It seems to be quite a common fault nowadays. I'll show where to cut the hole in the back to get to the fuel tank, and then we've got pressers, so I press a panel and screw a replacement panel on top with some RTV silicone on there. It's watertight, doesn't make any funny sound, and then in the future, if ever it goes again, it's a doddle to swap it. It's not an intimidating job if you do it that way. If you're not going to do it that way, dropping the tank outside in your drive, jack up the back, is doable, but it's a fucking big job. If you could do it without doing it, you probably would. Likewise, it's not too bad if you've got a car lift. Just remember, anybody that's got a car lift, that they do weigh, well, 2,180 kilo. I weigh this one regularly. That is the general running rate of a diesel. So make sure you balance it all right when you're on the car lift. Apply your locks when you're on the car lift, you know, follow all the safety procedures, because you're not dicking around with a Vauxhall Vectra or anything like that, something that is heavy. Then it's not too bad of a job to do if you're doing it on a car lift. Now, as I said in my community post this morning, basically another one of the symptoms it can be is low fluid in the gearbox. Kind of an obvious one. Doesn't necessarily mean the gearbox is going to make some horrible whining sounds, whatever. As anybody that's seen the other two videos on this P38, I've recently swapped the engine. It's an Omega swap P38. I racedly put her in there. I've got a disturbing oil leak coming from underneath. It's not a bad one, it's a dribble for now, but it's got one, and that really is what inspired me to making this video. So mine's not an alley intake Range Rover, mine is a plastic intake Range Rover. She's the year 2000, this one. So you'll note the lack of dipstick for the automatic gearbox. On the early ones, it's a doddle to do it, really. You can just fill it up through the filler neck, and obviously you can get your level with your dipstick. It is a bit mad how modern cars have deleted the dipstick. So I'll gracefully slide underneath here. And we're in. So that bung there is to drain the fluid out. If you're going to do a filter swap on them, be careful over tightening them, because it goes into aluminium, and I've stripped out threads on them. I'm going to be completely honest with you, so be very careful when you're doing that. To the best of my knowledge, I think that there's two types of filters for the diesels in the gearbox. Yeah, that's my oil leak. I'm pretty sure it's rear seal. It looks quite horrific there, but it's been wet today. It's not that, you know, it doesn't leave any oil puddles anywhere. That bung there, so you want to fire them up, find a level piece of ground, fire it up, get her up to running temperature, apply a tray or a pot underneath, and unscrew that. That is your level for your gearbox, but you want to, I can't express it enough, make sure that you've got reasonably level ground. It's got to be at running temperature. Put your finger in, it's not that hot. If you can feel oil, it's not too bad, but the rule is that it's got to be up to that plug. So filling them up is a bit of a pain in the arse, because you can see there's not really much room, but you've got to use a automatic transmission bottle and hope that you've got the long neck, and then you can just about squeeze it in there. Failing that, you have to use an oil pump to pump it into them. So it's a bit inconvenient not having a dipstick, and it's a right dipstick of an idea to come up with not putting a dipstick on them. You can convert them to having a dipstick, but it does require another sump and obviously the dipstick. But it's not the end of the world. You can check your level with them, and it's on the V8s, the diesels, any of the automatic P38s. Now gracefully get back up again. So yeah, it's just a bit of a quick video on how to check your fluid levels on an automatic, and the horrible low on power diesel problem. As I say, I am a bit of a maniac. It doesn't really bother me. I would imagine it's probably the crank seal that's gone. I could be lucky. It could be just the sump gasket that's weeping a bit, maybe. You know, it was a bad idea putting it in there without putting a new crank seal on. Generally the rule is, and I suppose my folly is going to give people some advice. When you've got an engine out and you're doing a swap, it is advised really to anybody that's novice to it, or you know, if it's your first swap, do all of that shit. Put a new crank seal, because you don't really want to go and do it again if you can help it. It's only the fact that these are pretty easy to do. It's not a particularly big job. And if I do have to take the engine half back out, then so be it, and I'll just film it. Everybody can laugh at my folly. It was my own I don't know really what word you would use for it, other than I'm an idiot. But if you're doing it to a manual car, it's advised obviously fit a new clutch. If you've got a dual mass, check for your play. The general rule is 3 to 5 teeth movement on your dual mass flywheel, and check for side movement. If you've got on for 5 teeth movement, it's fucked really. You don't want to use that, or at least sell the car and don't tell anybody about it. The other side of it, because it won't be very long till it ends up going again. So yeah, that's a bit of a brief update on the Omega Swap P38. There'll definitely be more content with this. It is a Range Rover. They aren't fantastically well known for their reliability. They're saying that, as I put 3,000 miles on it. I'll keep driving like that. It might seal itself back up again. Obviously it was dry for a long time. Maybe it'll reseal itself. It doesn't leave a puddle on the floor wherever you go, so the seal ain't that bad. This will be the bit where I'm going to do a live dipstick reveal, and she's got no oil in her. She's on the low, so. And then she's not on level ground either. I will put a bit of oil in her. It is going to be a job that I'll do. So yeah, thanks for catching up. I hope I've maybe given some inspiration to anybody that's got a P38 that's got any issues like this, or has got any worries about the automatic gearbox, because it is pretty commonplace knowledge in the club, but obviously not everybody's in the club, and people still post about it. You know, I by no means am I an expert on Range Rovers. I've got a lot of gathered experience over the years through just running a lot of them, and if it can go wrong with them, I've had it go wrong with them. I swapped V8s, I swapped gearboxes, I swapped engines, you know, diesels. I've had the HVAC all to pieces inside. I don't give these the same amount of appreciation as the SD ones. They are just my daily knockabout. I'll use them till they fall to pieces. Well, once upon a time till they fell to pieces. Now they have started to get a bit of a classic following, and this particular one, I don't know why. I've put 4 engines in it now. They are end-of-life engines, and as I say, to me it's an afternoon's work really. It's stick an engine in and I'll run it. Maybe I'll get 10-20,000 miles out of it, and I'll just stick another one in, and then the engines go off for core rebuilding somewhere. There's a company in Lancashire that I sell the BMW engines to, and generally I'll buy an engine for about the same amount of money as what I get for it, aside the fact I get to keep all the auxiliaries. So if anybody needs to have a fuel pump or an alternator or anything like that, I've got boxes of them. So yeah, I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the day. SD1 content coming in imminently. She is there, and we'll get her in one of the sheds. Well, I've been threatening to do it for about a week now. In terms of the Rovers, I've just bought another rare Rover, an 800 this time. It's not a Vitesse, it's sort of like she is, but it's not a diesel one. It is an early 800. It's one that people I don't really know. It's a rare one anyway, and it's in fantastic condition, so I'll do a video of collecting her. As I say, I'm in the market for another 2 or 3. If anybody's got, by chance, an 825 diesel series one, just post a comment and I'll send over my email address, or maybe we'll speak to each other in the 800 owners club. I'm definitely in the market. Condition is completely irrelevant. I don't care if it's falling to pieces, but I'm definitely in the market for one. Well, thanks again. Subscribe if this is the kind of content that helps you throughout the rest of my life, or as long as my YouTube career lasts. I'll keep posting videos about P38s and parts. One of the things I noticed the other day is my ball ache joint. Which one is it? Was it this side? Could have been the other side. Is bad. I've split a boot on this one, so I'm going to do a video probably next, and it is a horrible job. Though I have come up with a tactic. I spoke to a few people that used to work on these when they were current, and they said they're a nightmare even back then. But through talking to a few people, I've developed a way where you don't need to use a special pulling tool or the pressing tool. You can put them in. I'm not going to lie to you, it can still take 2 or 3 days to do. But to be fair, I did the ones on the other side of this one for its last MOT, and it didn't take very much at all. The white one inside that shed, she needs to have both sides done. Garages charge you £1,000 each side for it. It is money that is pretty well earned, if I'm honest with you. But if you can save £1,000, you can, I'll put that money to better use than giving it to a garage. But anyway, that's for a future video. So see ya.